ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hong Sin, and I am one of the founding members of ASEAN CIO Association, responsible for global relationship alliances, activities, events, like, for example, live chat is one of the activity. Firstly, let me address some logistics. So this is a public live chat. And I would also like to highlight that your name, your photos, or your voice can be captured. So with PDPA, we like to emphasize as ASEAN CIO Association, we do not send or sell your contact details to any third party. As when you register your name with us, you have granted us a consent to send you newsletters or email. But should you not want to be in the email list, you can unsubscribe. Or you can drop us a note so we can permanently delete your contact. So secondly, you can ask questions to the plenary speakers, or you can put in your question through the chat column. So let me give you a quick brief on ASEAN CIO Association. We are a non-profit organization driven by a group of passionate individuals running, CIO function or used to run CIO function, and currently, those that used to run CIO function, but currently, they may have retired for the CIO role, but they are sitting on major boards of the country. So this organization is led by Kun Chaitalana Tipet, where he has a good wealth of years of experience in the ICT industry. He originates from Thailand. ASEAN CIO started 2010. Is exactly a decade ago, and our intention was basically to share experience and support CIOs across the region for various subjects as technology evolves. So all personnel from ASEAN CIO Association are volunteers, yet we have very strong alliances across the region and also internationally. We stay very focused on ASEAN initiative, aligning very closely to ASEAN Digital Master Plan. So our flagship annual forum, hopefully it will happen this year. We have postponed the event from July now to September, and it's gonna be held in Vietnam, Hanoi, together with our co-host, Vanessa, known as Vietnam Information Network and Software Association. And the theme for this year basically goes as Digital Nation Moving Beyond Smartness, Demand Sustainability, and with Co-Creation. So other activities that are in line right now, Hydro Informatics Forum is still scheduled for October, and this will be in Bangkok, Thailand. So this is actually our 10, time flies so fast. This is our 10th live chat since the outbreak of the lockdown. And live chat is a weekly meet to continue our exchange with CIOs across the region. And of course, under live chat, we have various channels. In fact, we created 9 channels based on the C-suite requests. We have business consulting, we have coaching, cybersecurity, cities and urbanization, digital transformation, digital water, digital fund, green and sustainability, women and youth channel. And allow me to mention that ASEAN CIO is also in the midst of working on inking several MOUs with universities across ASEAN. The aim is not to reinvent the great work done by the university. Rather, it is to tap on the university expertise to structure on ASEAN CIO coaching unit. So the word coaching sometimes it scares some people. And it's some people may think that, it's like having somebody to watch over them, but actually it's far more exciting and far more interesting. The aim is basically for us to serve and support ASEAN CIO as each take lead in their respective organization, whether they are private or government. So what is the new ASEAN CIO coaching unit for? It is designed for real life work situations and experience being discussed for clarity to support progress and sustainability. So people who join the program, basically they will take the learning and immediately apply to the new knowledge to the specific situation. And they could be having that hands-on approach provides the opportunity to discuss ongoing critical issues with the coach, challenges or opportunities or concerns. They may receive immediate feedback based on the action that they put forth. But of course, they would also get support. They may feel empowered, knowing practical and customized information to improve immediate situation coming from other experienced person. So basically, the commit is scheduled with the assigned coach to support and focus on the goal that they want to attain. And of course, they may choose the hard skill, the technical stuff, or the soft skill that is designed for them. So nothing needs to be a standard program. It has to be able to serve the essential and not just a piece of paper. All right. So now let me bring on my peer in ASEAN CIO Association, Thailand Counselor, Dr. Patharawan Pasampani, popularly known as, I always address her as my Asamai. Okay, she is a faculty member of Sasin School of Management, Chulalongkorn University. She currently, oh my gosh, she has a lot of solid certificates.
Don't worry.
She is certified for governance, enterprise IT, and prior to joining Sustain, she was assistant professor of information systems at the City University of Hong Kong. She may speak Cantonese, huh? So she currently serves as Information System Audit and Control Association Committee of the Bangkok chapter and provide consultancy for various digital and management projects for Thai government, state enterprise, private organization. Her credential is so long, so I'm gonna just stop here to bring her on, to have her introduce her plenary speakers. Atamai, screen is yours.
Okay, all right. Sawadee ka. Thank you very much, Hong Sin, for the nice introductions. Okay, so thank you for having me to moderate this session. It's going to be very interesting. Look at all the well-respected speaker, heavy experience in the both government sector, private sector, in the IT. So I think we can have very insightful session. First of all, I probably may ask all the speaker to actually do a short introductions. And first of all, we really honored to have His Excellency. So Puti Wood, okay. So as Hong Sin mentioned, that he's have very important role, Secretary of State, Ministry of Post and Telecommunication of Cambodian. He also have very important role like President of Cambodian Rice Federation. Play a major role in using technology to move the industry of agriculture in Cambodia, as well as the president of ICT Federation of Cambodian. So this is just a part of it. So I think I may ask His Excellency so to just do a short background about yourself and share your general thought about the ICT in general. Yeah.
So thank you very much. First of all, I just like to take this opportunity to thank Khun Chacharan and Hong Sin for inviting me here, and thank you, Dr. Patharawan, for moderating the sessions. I think it'll be an exciting session. Sorry, I'm also a member of ACIO. I've been supporting organizations for a while, and I think it's a lot of potential here to support the development of ASEAN in the technology space in the future. And Cambodia at the moment is also putting a lot of effort with the directions from our Prime Minister to drive the country's development and using technology as part of those elements for development. So one of the goal of our Prime Minister was to push Cambodia to become a high-income country by 2050. So to do that, I think we put a lot of brains together here in Cambodia to try to how best to do that. And I think one of the trend that's happening now is to join the fourth industrial revolution wave, and that's part of the new growth that are happening. And to join the fourth industrial revolution, I think the Cambodian government has to digitize the whole government. And so this is part of my effort in the ministry to help to push and thinking through how to make a effective digital government to support this vision. So yes, this is part of the core work that I've been doing so far, and now we're developing a policy framework and moving to a policy. I think by the end of this year, we hope to have all the legal side sorted out, and then the next coming years is all about driving things on the ground. And I think we will need a lot of support from all the key stakeholders in the country, especially the Prime Minister, to also lead this change. So that's a short introduction on my side. There's a number of other things, and I think hopefully, I think CIO could be part of this picture as well, help driving the development in Cambodia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency. So very excited to hear more from you about your view about the coaching elements. And next, probably I may ask Andy. So Andy is the Andy Budi Macha. Okay, right. Sorry if I pronounce it wrongly. So Andy is also the Indonesia counselor for our organization, ASEAN CIO Association. He's a chairman of Indonesia IT Federation, and previously he held the role as a chairman of Indonesia Domain Registry, which is provide internet domain registration services for all the governments, militaries, business, and community. And he have heavy experience, well connected with all the government, business, and academia. So probably I may ask Andy to do some your short introductions about your background. Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Patarawan, for your introduction. I think your introduction is already full, not so. As Dr. Mai mentioned, I'm from IT Federation of Indonesia. So our members consist of IT-related association in across Indonesia. It is consists of ISP association, also the IP regional distribution in Indonesia, also a domain registry, telecommunication provider association, software association, also Apticom. Apticom is the IT college association in our country. They have about now it's about 1,000 college or university related to IT in Indonesia, and also animation association and anything. So our role as chairman is how to collaborate this all institution to help government and nation to develop an IT in our country. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Andy. Okay, and next I probably may ask Nick. Okay, so Nick, may I Nicholas Ojeda Jr. Okay, may I just call you in short, Nick? Okay, so Nick also hold various ICT positions in the militaries and corporate and civilian governments. And right now he's also the Philippines counselor for ASEAN CIO Association. And he also right now is the technical advisor to the Department of Department of ICT in Philippines, right? Okay, if I didn't say the organization correctly, please accept my apologies. So, and various heavy experience in this industry, especially in the government sector, militaries. So, Nick, may I ask you to share your background with the audience, please?
Good.
Nick, your microphone
Nick,
is on.
can you turn on the microphone, please?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Good morning to everybody, and thanks, Dr. Patarawan, for that introduction. Well, I'm Nick Ojeda, a retired Brigadier General of the Armed Forces. I used to be the commander of the Army computers, and then when I retired, I worked with the corporate and went back to the government and worked as the Deputy Executive Director for cybersecurity. So I headed cybersecurity. In the Philippines right now, I am part of the CIO Forum Foundation, which is composed of government CIOs and IT heads. So what we are doing now is we are, of course, having some sessions and seminars to improve the CIO capability of the Philippine government. And the thrust now of the foundation is to include the CIOs of the industry. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Nick. So we will learn more from you in just a moment. And last but not least, Ashok. Okay. So we have Ashok Kumar. Ashok is the Center Director of E-Government Leadership Center and also the Chief of the International Program. This particular center is under the partnership of National University of Singapore and Institute of System Science. And he has, again, heavy experience in this particular area about the skill development, the coachings, trainings, engage a lot of leaders, senior leaders from various countries, from actually around the world on advisors, capacity development. And most important, as he actually recently been selected, voted as one of the top 100 most influential individuals in digital government just recently, last year, 2019. So how about Ashok, can you share your background a little bit for us?
Thank you very much. First of all, Dr. Patarawan, thank you very much for the time.
So can you make it louder, a little bit louder, please?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yes, please. Yes, okay. Good.
So thank you very much, Dr. Mai and ASEAN CIO Association, Hong Sen and Dr. Chai, President, for inviting me to this session. A very brief background about me. I graduated from India, worked there for about a few years before spending about 3 years in Hong Kong, and just made sure the handover to the British was properly done, and then moved to Singapore. And I've been in Singapore actually much earlier than that. I landed up here in 90. So it's quite a while I've been in Singapore. I'm a Singaporean now. And I've had the great opportunity to be in Singapore when Singapore was going through a huge digital transformation as a country, as government. And I was quite fortunate enough to be a part of the team at National Computer Board. And of all the places, although I was a foreigner, I landed up with the Ministry of Home Affairs and had the great opportunity to roll out several national systems for them. And then I worked in the industry as well. So I've been on both sides of the table, providing services to the government and architecting solutions for the government. And I worked for private sector as well, with banking industry and manufacturing industry. And earlier, beginning of this decade, 2011, I joined the National University of Singapore and headed up the center, where we do a lot of coaching, which is what today's topic is about, and talking about various elements of the transformation and the critical success factors beyond technology. Right, technology is one of the important things, but there are many things beyond that that need to be considered when you're doing transformation. I'm very excited to be a part of this conversation and hope to be associated with several of your initiatives. In fact, as a part of Singapore's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Singapore Cooperation Program, I have been to most of the ASEAN countries to deliver a week-long program on various topics, starting with smart nation strategies to program management and technology management. So with that, I hand it back to Dr. Nai.
All right, thank you very much, Ashok. So we will learn more from you about your initiative in Singapore. And so I think we probably will get started with the topic. So I probably may start with His Excellency Sok. So as we move to digital ASEAN, so digital leadership development is one of the key things to help drive. And as Ashok mentioned, that something is not really about technical, but it consists of many elements to actually become a digital leader. So can you share your general thought about digital leadership development and probably could lead to a particular role of coaching elements?
Oh, thank you. I think this is a very broad and very important question because I think there's so many dimensions, many elements into it. But I think at the heart of it is probably just a drive for development, a drive to do something better, the drive for sustainable. So the purpose of why you want to be a leader in something is you need that internal drive, a purpose. I think for the most part, from what I can see and what we have been also trying to do is understanding that, like I mentioned earlier, the visions to become a high-income country. There's a lot more involved. It's not just about higher income, but it's also about better quality of life, sustainability. So I think all this, when you put it together, you can't ignore technology as a tool that can help speed up a lot of things as one of the solutions. As a tool to use to bring people to collaborate, to communicate better. It's hard to ignore that, right? So by understanding that technology play a critical role, I think we have to learn about it. We have to understand it. We have to be able to use it and hopefully be able to make those tools as well. So I think the drive it makes this technology becomes one of the priorities that you cannot ignore. So I think as a nation, as a country, and I think Cambodia has a lot of, it's a young country in terms of age and population. We have more than over 70% that are under the age of 30. So I think we have this potential that the youth could embrace technology and change the way we do things. Because at the end, it's still a tool, but I think when there's just a group of people, 5 or 6, it's easy to change and adapt. Like today with chats and smartphone. But when you talk about as an institution, as a country, then it becomes another level to try to bring technology and to change the way we communicate, the way we collaborate, the way we share. So yeah, so I think we are building a lot of things as a foundation to push this. We have schools that have better IT program. We have schools that are dedicated to technology. Some initiative by the government, some initiative by private. So I think the recognitions of technology being one of the forefront of change, is becoming very clear and apparent, and the government, I think, around the world are putting a lot of effort. So yeah, so I hope that what we're currently doing and our priorities to push and coach the next generation to engage, to be familiar with technology and engage, and hopefully be able to develop themselves as well in the future. Will have some fruits in the future. So yeah, and in short, I think we definitely give a lot of attention here, and I hope that also with the collaboration among ASEAN, we can learn from each other as well as I think as a ASEAN, as a region, and globally as well. So, and my answer, short, brief with that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, His Excellency. May I ask that follow-up questions a little bit? So as you said that the drive is probably one of the key quality to actually become digital leader. And you mentioned about the youth. So I think I can make a conclusion that you think with the new generation, the youth, the drive quality is probably has great potential. It's probably mostly right there for them because they're still young. They have they're born with it. Actually, they are digital citizen. They is a native for them. So the drive is probably right there. But to actually complement with the drive, as you mentioned, that it may need like coaching with the experience, something like that. So can you share a little bit more with this? What have you seen any particular initiative in your country that probably already started doing this, or they are in the process of doing this?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that I think the young generation now is already exposed to technology, to smartphones and the internet. I think informations are readily available, so it's just a matter of their curiosity and their passion in terms of what they are curious about and what they want to pursue. I think that's internally from individual, but also in the system, companies, government are beginning to modernize as well. So when they modernize, they need skills, all kinds of skills that related to technology that help. Company, you can say it's ERP. So you need to know how enterprise resource planning system and the integrated part of the whole institution work, right? So if you work as an individual working in those organizations, you have to learn how to use computer and link with the system. But in the government, we're pushing e-government. So how that, how is that supporting the whole country? In terms of linking into the economy, digital citizen, where citizens can access to government services through a digital platform. Even forming company more easily, and other government services that the citizen needs, and also not that, but also I think the interaction between the government and people are becoming more direct as well. It's not so many layers like in the past. So meaning, I think capturing data and real information on the ground is becoming more clearer and faster, and decisions could be made faster from the top leaders. So I think all this kind of reinforced the drive toward development, the drive toward better society, better quality of life, solving problems faster, and yeah, at the end of the day, it's quality of life, of what kind of society, what kind of country you want to become in the future, and how technology as part of this element part of the tool to help you get there, because technology is not everything. At the end, it's still a tool. Although the technology can become smarter and smarter, but still, I think we still view it as a tool today, and how that tool becomes a part of the bigger visions of country to be, to develop, to be a better country. I think there's also an index called Good Country Index, and there are elements of what countries should do to become, good and sustainable, and so that provide for the next generation. I think at the end, it's all about what we pass on to the next generation as a country. So there's a lot of things we're doing now. There's many programs, but sometimes it's still not coordinated well. That's the only thing that I think a biggest challenge with different organizations, ministries having their own programs. They realize the importance of that, but they all go on their own way of doing things that they think is the best way. But hopefully, I think in the future, because resources are scarce, times and capacities are limited, then I think we could coordinate and combine our effort more within the country, and also I think even across in the region as well. There are programs in the region and globally that also support this kind of thinking. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much. So I probably will come back with more, because you touch on the youth, which is something that I'm interested on. Like, youth play the game. Some people say that if you play like World of Warcraft, you can be a good leader. Okay, if you play you play very well in the game and you lead people in the game, you probably can lead well in the real world. Okay, but I will come back to this later.
I think it's also the depth of understanding. It's not just knowing technology makes you a leader, right? It's just only a tool at the end of the day. Just how using those tools is important.
Or maybe as a coacher, we probably have to be in the game to coach them, right? Okay, so next probably I would like to hear from Eddie, please. So Eddie, what your general thought about like digital leadership developments? What is the role of coaching that we have on that? Can you turn on that?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. So as we know, the digital leadership is strategic to use digital to achieve, to use digital asset to achieve our goals. It can be national goals or company or institutional goals, or also the individual goals. So I think the important thing is, as we know, is three aspects. I mean, the human, our people, the people development is very important, and also knowledge and willingness to develop and efficient and interconnecting process to each other. And the third, also using the right technology is also one of the key success factors. So now at the present we have a lot of university in Indonesia, especially also in this new era. I mean the industrial 4.0. So digital leadership is a very important role. We start from digital literacy and to develop, to develop community awareness about the internet users, and then we to the company also how they develop the industry to increase. To increase the productivity to using 4.0 technology. So now many things have been done by our government to encourage the digital implementation, starting from the 10 years back is a government program, smart city. So there is a CCTV around the city, and now the CCTV itself is moving. They are also develop the capacity not only to watching but also to recognize the thing what the CCTV can see. This is a human or this is a vehicle or what. And now they also already run the traffic violation from directly through e-ticketing, so directly sent to home when there is a violation in the traffic. And in industry area also, since April 2018, our government, I mean the Ministry of Industry, also launched the initiative they call Make Indonesia 4.0. 4.0. They are focused in the 5 manufacturing sector right now. They are food and beverage, textile and apparel, automotive, electronic, and also the chemical. This is to encourage the industry to industry non oil and gas industry to implement the application or technology of 4.0. So I think this is I mean for the opening the what is happen right now. So coaching I think is also important, of course. Coaching should be I think should be from person or organization who very success in his field, and they can sharing the knowledge, expertise, and experience. So experience is a tacit knowledge. So workshop in and in the practical situation is also very important. We can sharing each other among the ASEAN regional country, I think. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Andy. So yes, I agree with you that you mentioned on the digital literacies and the dynamic of things has changed constantly. So I think what is really need is to be like digital fitness. You are always fit. Okay, so you have to be catch up, do regular update with everything, and that is the coaching part. You share experience. It's not like something you read from the book or of this view. That experience will really help you to be more dynamic, to stay fit. Whatever change, you can still be able to catch up with that, right?
Yeah, agree. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Andy. So how about I like to hear from Nick, please. So what is your view on digital leadership development in general, and also the coaching in particular?
Yeah. For me, digital leadership is the development, is the transformation of a leader from his traditional work to the digital environment. Well, of course, what is most important here is for the leader to recognize that information is the key to decision making, and information is a vital resource in his organization that is at par with people, with money, and with equipment. Uh, in the information, of course, as we all know, is composed of process and data that has undergone a process. So what does this mean? A leader should be able to appreciate that information is very important in his decision making. So what does that mean? The information that he has to have in his organization must be accurate, timely, uh, well, uh, must have that integrity, must have that accuracy, must have authenticity. And how do we do that? Of course, that is where we use the technology. Technology like the digital technology and what's happening right now, Industry 4.0. However, we have also to understand, leaders should also have to understand that information right now, because of this technology, has become so ubiquitous, meaning it's everywhere. And chances are he will have an information overload because of the ubiquity of information. So that is where he has to have a change of mindset. a transformation. He may have to think faster. He may have to rely on the technology to get information. And of course, another thing is he must have that, that mandate to do such things. And I think that is very important. And that is where coaching comes in. A coach must have already that body of knowledge regarding digital leadership, so that he can coach another digital leader. Like what they say, iron sharpens iron. So we have to have a pool of how do you call that? Senior, mature, and wise digital leaders that will be able to coach upcoming and potential digital leaders. That's my view of it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Nick. Yes, I agree that is quite a challenge to be a leader, like to lead digital initiative. Either you are like totally technical background, the whole career, and then you grew up to be executive to lead the organization, or your whole career is business, and then you have to lead the digital initiative. So either way, it's easily to fall into the chasm. So that is very challenging. And as the coaches, to actually see through things before would actually top up this kind of like challenge, right? Okay, so I may come back again, Nick. So let's move on to Ashok, please. So Ashok, can you share with us about what you see about this general thought and what Singapore has done, see the challenge, and how you have right, the direct connect with our executive in terms of the coachings?
Yeah, thank you. Let me just.
Oh, okay. So you may want to share the slide, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
As well. Okay to proceed?
Yes, I can see now.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much once again. I thought I will just consolidate some thoughts and into a PowerPoint and share with you. One of the starting points is, of course, and what we observe is this big shifts that are happening around us, right? So these are technology shifts, human behavior, new business models that are coming up, sharing economy, etc. And added to that, especially for Singapore, is aging population. And Singapore being Asia's second fastest aging population. So we do have to consider that. So that is the world of digital economy that we are moving in. And added to all of this, unprecedented, we have this pandemic, which has taken us by complete surprise. And all of us are making adjustments to deal with this. And as this question is floating around in the WhatsApp group, asking who led the digital transformation in your organization? Was it the CEO, the CTO, the COO, or was it COVID-19? Right.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it's surprising. It's surprising. We've been trying this for the last 2 decades, trying to introduce new things, digital way of doing things. So this is something positive that we can take out of COVID, But the lesson to be learned is we need not have COVIDs in future to do this transformation. So we need to be quite proactive about it. Okay. So now the question is whether you want to be a leader and disrupt and face this disruption head on, or be disrupted, right? So the choice, you do have a choice, and it is for you to make the choice now, because the more you delay it, you will be disrupted. For Singapore, transformation into digital economy is a top priority. A lot of initiatives that the government and the private sector has initiated. Government leads the digital disruption. Two of the more key organizations that drive the industry and the government are IMDA, Inform Media Development Authority, which focuses on government, on the public sector side, on the industry side, whereas GovTech is the change agent and the technology engineer for government, public sector. While all of this is happening, technology and the digital disruption will also impact jobs. As I mentioned, for Singapore, we have a double whammy. We have aging population and the job disruption, which we need to take care of. As a minister, now I hope this is a limbo period where the parliament has been dissolved. But when he made that statement, he was a finance minister. And so what he said was very interesting. He said we cannot protect jobs that will be made redundant by digital economy, but we can and will protect people, workers. Now, he further noted that one of the key elements for jobs of the future to prepare Singaporeans is this concept of lifelong learning. It has to be a culture, it has to be a strategy, it has to be the norm of life moving forward. So human capital is a precious asset. While there are a whole lot of enablers that accelerate barriers and enablers that impact digital transformation, human mindset and behaviors are one of the very key ones which are often ignored but need to be attended to. For Singapore, which is a digital transformation at the national level, that program is broadly termed as Smart Nation Initiative. And as our minister, again, who's in charge of this initiative, said, Smart Nation vision is about people and mindset, nothing to do with technology. Technology can be deployed, but it's more important for people to be ready and their mindsets to change. So how do digital leaders get ready for leading tomorrow's organization amidst all these major shifts and pressures? The best way I could think of is like this orchestra conductor who has so many individual players and experts and brings them together. And once he is able to do that and fine tune it, you get peak performance. And the peak performance gives you excellent harmony and the melody. So the leadership role has to have some element of this orchestra conductor. While talking about performance, one of the first things or one of the important things that we intended to maybe change and revamp is our traditional performance appraisal. I don't have a solution with me right now, but that's something that sometimes, or many of the times, is kind of counterproductive. That needs to be attended to. As a start, Singapore has taken on this, at least at the schooling level. Children in Singapore will no longer be ranked by exam results. It is a more well-rounded 360-degree kind of assessment with a lot of emphasis on teamwork and creative thinking beyond academics. Likewise, the schools will not be ranked; they will be put into bands or whatever. So we are moving away, at least as an attempt to do that. As the video showed, every champion has a coach. Right? So we are talking about coach, which has got several aspects to it in terms of mentoring, in terms of creating that motivation, inspiration, etc. While preparing for this, I came across a very interesting document. You can Google and find out. The Olympics organization has this 10-pointer on qualities of coach, which is very interesting, which can be applied to a corporate world as well and for government as well. So coaching is actually enabling a person to accomplish their best. So they are facilitators. They enable the people to perform. They need to create an environment where people are happy, people are inspired and motivated. Right? Let me just share a short, and many of you may already know this. This is about a janitor. So when President John F. Kennedy was visiting the NASA Space Center in 1962, he noticed the janitor carrying a broom. So he interrupted his tour, walked over to him and said, "Hey, I'm Jack Kennedy. What are you doing?" The man replied, "Well, Mr. President, I am helping put a man on the moon." It is this kind of passion, this kind of understanding the goal that you're working for, that your organization is working for. And you need to create this environment and culture. That is the role of the leader in this context. So the passion and purpose, that must be instilled and created. And the beautiful thing, when career of a person and the passion come together, and simply magic happens. It's win-win-win all the way. Moving on, shifting gears, we are also moving from qualification to skills. Not too sure whether you've heard about this University 42. Now, this is a tuition-free coding university. And this was first set up in France by Xavier Niel. He's a French telco billionaire. And it's a very interesting concept where you do not need any qualification to get into this university. It's almost like gaming. You go through 10 levels of various coding challenges. Beyond a certain level, level 4, 5, and 6, the people around or the peers coach them. The next 2 or 3 levels, experts coach them. And the last 2 levels, they are given problem statements from World Health Organizations, United Nations, and so on and so forth. And this is where the future is moving to, from qualifications to skills. For Singapore, we're focused on something called Skills for Future. Starts with a comprehensive program, while in school, starting work, mid-career, growing your career, etc. So this is focusing on lifelong learning. And while we have a lot of these frameworks and programs, this is where our institute plays a very significant role. NUS ISS focuses on capacity building for Singapore and beyond Singapore. To date, we have about 140,000 people. And by the way, the total population of IT population is about 180. So more than 2/3 have walked through our doors, and we've been contributing to Singapore's capacity building in IT and technology. And we have about 150 topics, over 7,000 customers, corporate customers. We also run master's programs, and I head up the center where we have taken about 6,800 officers from 134 nations on their learning journey. And ASEAN, as I mentioned earlier, have been a part of it as well. And we do mimic the multiple pathways, whether you're a youngster, mid-career, at risk, or elderly. Multiple methods of upgrading your skills. So it's the experiential learning that we are talking about. And just to give you an example of experiential learning, right? I don't know whether you heard about this bike, which has got a gear which turns left when you turn the handle right, that is, the tire turns left, and vice versa. Knowledge, when applied, becomes experience, right? So you may have all the knowledge about riding a bicycle, and given this constraint, but unless you're coached and you practice it, you cannot become an experienced person. And just to anyway, so again, experiential learning, we believe in continuous learning. And before I conclude, I just leave you with a couple of thoughts. Learning has to be a non-stop process if you really want to be a leader. And as the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. At NUS ISS, we believe in going far, working together, and we look forward to working with ASEAN CIO Association to traverse that journey. And I will leave you with this thought. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Back to you, Dr. Mai.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ashok. Very inspiring in the way, as you say in the slide, inspire, lead. Okay, so you touched on elements about the passion of the leader, which is quite similar to His Excellency. So mentioned about the drive, that really the key to actually, lead in a digital era. And you mentioned that it's like the coach in the gaming scenario, when you do certain level, you can be a coach to the lower level. So in that case, you mean that in fact, everyone could be a coaches, right? And let's say in ASEAN, we see different scenario. We may share some common things, and in fact, it's not really that someone to be considered an expert or well recognized to actually to be a coach, right? So everyone, we can be a coach to certain context. Is that right?
No, absolutely. So the couple of aspects about a coach. First, a coach need not be expert at everything. And as you will see, read about the coach of various other champions like Also, other attribute of the coach is, like I said, enable and bring the best out of an individual. What that means is the coach must be honest enough, candid enough to be able to provide constructive feedback. And in that process, enable that person to improve. So I think those are a few attributes of a coach which are important to facilitate talent.
Okay. Okay, so which is I agree with you, as you said at the end, just experiential learning is the key, and that is what the coach has, that because they've been through with it, they've done it, they failed it, they know how things work. With that element is make them become the coach, even though they're not probably like in the top of like the the mountain, but in every level they learn it, they experience with it, and they can share and be the coach. Right. Okay. All right. And Hong Sin, do we still have time? Okay. All right. So maybe I just go another round, another question. So with this as to take on what actually also just left off about the collaborations, the things that we can move together with, or the talent development. So what is your thought about the role of public-private partnership to help really tap on building the digital leader, and probably leverage on the experience, or could be just training and coachings, all of this, because every institution has an asset, has something to leverage on. So probably you can think of maybe your own organization that probably could do some partnerships. So as we move forward like ASEAN together, so I'd like to just touch on these elements about the type of collaboration, partnership, public-private that can tap on this skill development. I'll probably start with His Excellency, please.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Parawan. I think this is a very important topic as well. I think many governments have been struggling on how to do public-private partnership successfully. But I think, given our challenge, I think that's probably an important model to speed things up, right? Because I mean, given ministry, or every country or ministry always want to do things themselves, but I think they won't be able to acquire skills and technology fast enough to catch up with the time. And I think PPP model allows them to do that. But to make it successful, it's another story, because I think we, and also given the current situation with data privacy, sensitive data, so it makes it quite complex in terms of who could participate and how do we really bring the right company in to be part of PPP. And we see success, we see failures, but yeah, at the end, I think we recognize that PPP is definitely a way to speed things up. I think World Economic Forum also pushes a lot on PPP model. And I think if we can solve, with technology, it's a solution, but there's also a barrier because now every country recognizes that data is becoming is a new oil. So how to protect that data? How to in the end the data becomes part of support the government to help the country develop and to help the people rather than become too much commercial. Right? So I feel like sometimes certain functions, certain data could be basic, but more now is in the hands of private that monetizing the data. So government at this stage, I think, still struggling with that in terms of whether but at the end, they still need the know-how from the private sector to help the government to gain this capability. Right? So I think there has to be a trade-off. There has to be some kind of partnership. There has to be some trust and understanding to make this model PPP work successfully. And sometimes from the private side, they say the technology is not a problem. From the government side, it's more politics that's a problem, right? So I think every country is struggling with that, but as the pressure becomes clearer, competitive drive becomes stronger, I think country has to make decision and I think at a certain point when you reach the precipice, you do or you die. I think things will happen. But when they have time, I think they were going to struggle and keep it and pending. But I think the pressure is on, and I'm sure every country now, are competing to be with technology to be on the forefront with 5G, with big data, with IoT. All this are driving and changing and reorganizing the structure of global competition. So I think it's urgent, it's imperative that country needs to figure out themselves to join, or they're going to delay it some more. It's up to the leadership of the country in terms of prioritizing what's important. But I'm sure at the end, I think we'll find a solution. And today, I think more and more the way we do things on the ground. We're iterating transparency. Doing things properly, standards. So the younger generations are pushing this. So I think things will become more clearer, and good company and good ideas will start to win more. So I think it will happen. So that's from my side, and I maybe add a little bit as well in terms of what the previous question about your coaching. I think you can see the environment is changing, like the presentation by Professor ACIOA. And I think for youth to gain that competitive edge, given this changing environment, they have to adapt. And there's many things that I think give them that competitive edge. Is you can be trained by mentor. You can, I think, one of your statement you mentioned that every champion has a mentor. But I think self-driving mentoring is also important. And the environment is changing, and sometimes you can't find the right mentor. You can't find a good mentor you have. You have to find other ways. I think the internet, using it properly, could also be a powerful tool to guide those who are very motivated to gain access to this kind of mentoring. And hopefully, I think through the government priorities to support an association like ACIO, I think we can support those self-driving individual with the right mentor that can help them on the ground, because it makes a whole lot of difference. Because I remember when I was growing, I didn't really have that. So you kind of do by learning trial and error. But at the end, you kind of figure out, okay, what works and what doesn't work. But that takes a while. But with mentor, I'm sure they can speed things up a lot faster. But I think hopefully that would come about, because I think the drive for individual, I think it's always the same, whether they want to be richer, resource, or they are idealistic. They want to believe in a certain idea, or sometimes they're forced to do it, or even have ego to do certain things just to prove to themselves. So these are the drives that I think one of them will exist in any individual. So the government program, the support that allow environment for this individual with that drive to be part of and have opportunity to prove themselves. I think that gives them the competitive edge to lead and compete with their peers. So I think another thing is learning fast. I think today's skills move on, change quickly. So to be able to learn quickly is a very important skill. I remember there's a program that Stanford that could help blend, through technology, blended learning could really speed up average student ability to learn very quickly, right? So they can grasp complex concepts very quickly, but it's very intensive. So it requires certain individuals who are willing to sacrifice their time and their social life to do that. So, but that will give them the competitive edge. So it's just, I think coaching is important, but I think it has to drive from the individual themselves, that desire, that burn, that purpose, that they want to do it, and the grit to stick through it, because it's difficult. You will be always in your uncomfortable zone, and so but you have to have that drive to keep on moving. Otherwise, you fall back to your safety net, and then you become more distant. So that's, I think, important thing is the drive from the individual to make it. So thank you.
All right, thank you, His Excellency. Yes, you touched on the elements about people look for mentor to actually, speed up and learn fast. And with a lot of time, we cannot find the right mentor. So the drive doesn't happen because we don't want to learn with this mentor. It's like teacher. Sometimes it's just a side teacher. But with the coach, the mentor, if we have a pool of community where we can look for the right one, we have chemistry, so we can pick the right coach at the right scenario. And hopefully we can form certain common community or collaboration that we can have a big pool that we can pick the right one for us. Yes, okay. Andy, can you have some thought about the role of partnership, public-private partnership to tap on that skill development or coaching?
Yeah. Very interesting to know from Mr. Ashok Kumar. I do agree. Singapore is very different because the digital transformation is led by government, like orchestra. But you see, His Excellency Mr. Putifut, I think it's very similar with the all the ASEAN country. The digital transformation is led by young generation, led by private sector, and led by community. So government is play a role to facilitate them rather than to lead the digital transformation. I think sharing for collaboration in the doing with our country. Mostly now in our government is very familiar with the triple helix or quad helix, yeah. Government, university, private sector, and community. They do a lot to make collaboration with them to develop the regulation, also to make a roadmap of the digital transformation. And I think within the ASEAN, it is also important for us to do sharing and collaborating about the moving, the condition of the ICT in its country, so we can learn from that. We can exchange the knowledge and the technology, and mentoring and coaching also is needed, but we need to tailor and suit to condition in every country. The condition is also the infrastructure condition, the law condition, and also the local wisdom condition. So, knowledge management platform center for ASEAN communities are also important. So, so we can learn each other from how Singapore success to run his country and industry, and also we can see in Philippines they are I mean, yeah, in the Thailand, it's also good to manage the water, smart water management to to control the flooding, also to irrigation for the what is pertanian this is we can learn the success story for its ASEAN members. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Andy. As you mentioned about like tacit knowledge, so we learn experience from others, right? So with all the connected community, not just inspire, we can develop together, right?
Sure.
And share the success story. Yes, Nick, please. Can you unmute, please? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Regarding the public-private partnership, of course, I can see that there is a challenge because, like for example, if you will compare, I'll be talking about the government digital leaders. When you talk about the government organization, we have to assume that the knowledge of each of the digital leaders are almost at the same level. And probably they have acquired the same body of knowledge. And going to seeking, a partnership with the private might be difficult because, of course, before the government will indulge in such a program, they have to define, and one of the requirements, of course, is the standardization of the knowledge of the digital leaders. Now, in the private sector, of course, there are a lot of schools of thoughts. Now, what the challenge, of course, is to get the right peg that will fit the right hole. What I mean is that, looking for the partner that will help in the development of digital leaders. They have to conform with the requirements of the government. And another thing is, like what Dr. Ashok said a while ago, there is a certification process that has to be undertaken. And the question is, are these coaches or are those coming from the private sector already certified, or are they just using their experience as their leverage? Of course, there are two things, knowledge and experience. It would be very hard to look for, coaches and mentors that may have both qualifications. What I have seen in the Philippines is, they claim to be CIOs, but actually they are really IT people. We have, we have evolved our IT into ICT, and it is that letter C that is becoming now a pain to the IT people because, we are changing our paradigm from IT to ICT. And for a leader, for a digital leader, he has to understand ICT, not only IT. And so what does that mean? There may have to be a change of mindset, a change of the way of thinking. Digital technology has, has disrupted the way we did things. It made things faster. It made information available at your fingertips, just at a few key punches in the keyboard, and you got the information. So the thing is, digital leadership is not only applying technology, but it is also, changing the perception to be a digital leader. That's my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Nick. So yes, you touched on this quite interesting that make me think more. Like as we said, that everyone could coach. They have experience, can share, can mentor, but to really be a proper one, have the proper knowledge and the experience, that is another thing, that is like the certificate. And for a certain person to really think that this is a proper culture with all the, it's not like they pick the wrong one, put it that way, right? So to have the layer or something to help in terms of a trusted, this is a trusted institutions,
he must have the credential. He must have the
yes.
credential. Yes.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you. So let's move on to Ashok. So you may share your thought about this as well. Yeah.
As His Excellency mentioned, I think the onus is on the...
It's not clearly the voice. Can you? Yeah, thank you.
As His Excellency mentioned, the responsibility...
It's still not clear, Ashok, so I'm not sure what's happening.
Is it better?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's good.
Sorry about that. So as His Excellency mentioned, the responsibility is on the individual as well, right? So which is absolutely correct. An individual cannot sit back and say, okay, let the coach find me and develop me, right? So fully agree on that. The other thing is you cannot lift and shift things which are working in other places. And I fully agree. I think Andy said that it needs to be adapted. Whatever we are talking about, whether it's a process, whether it's a policy, whether it's an approach, everything has to be adapted. And that in itself is a part of leadership, to understand what will work, what will not work, what is sensitive, and to respect those, while we can brush off and say traditions and the old beliefs, and also human factor is something that needs to be respected. Therefore, it needs to be changed at some times, but that change needs to happen through persuasion and convincing them. So it is quite a bit of hard work that needs to be done in order to reach that level. As to your original question, Dr. Mai, on in terms of partnership, my take would be, look, like we said, everybody has a talent and that needs to be nurtured. Likewise, every institution has their own value to offer. So a smart thing in this new world where the physical boundaries need not be a barrier anymore is to go and look for experts in various fields and to assemble them subject to various procurement perspective, because you're spending taxpayers' money if you're the public sector. But government, okay, put it other way, government alone cannot do everything. So I would think well thought through and the trusted one. You mentioned, there was a lot of mention about both of these are necessary in order to form a good partnership and collaboration which sustains. So with that, I hand over back.
All right. Okay. Yes. So, yeah, we have to just adapt. Adapt is the key things here. And it recalled me about one slide that I haven't mentioned from your slide about we cannot protect the job, right? But we can protect the workers, which is remind me about what Singapore company has done, like Singapore Airlines during the COVID, because they cannot fly attendants, no job. But what they did is that to train the flight attendants to be in a hospital and help the people in hospital.
Yep.
So I think that's what is something that Abby said we can share. So even though we can think of something across industry, across the country, as long as that process may fit well, then probably we can stimulate or have some innovation and move ASEAN together. So I think with the time here, so probably any thoughts or something you want to add more for the speaker?
Just one quick one.
Yes, please.
You know, large countries like India and China and United States can say, oh, we want to be on our own, right? So they have the economies of scale.
Mm-hmm.
But we in ASEAN have unique capabilities and value to offer. And we can really, both economically and intellectually as people, we can grow faster if we grow together.
Yes.
And there's absolutely, and there are limited time and resources. There's absolutely no point in reinventing the wheel again, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So my strong recommendation would be, let's share the principles you would find remains same, right? The approach and implementation may differ. Experiences, what worked, what went. It is good to know that, right? If you're driving fast on the road and there's some notice which says, oh, there is construction going on there. So it is good to know what is ahead of you. But you are the driver. You know how to navigate. But getting that information is what we are talking about, facilitating, knowledge sharing, and so on and so on. Right? So with that, I hand it back.
Yes, getting the right information, like just Nick just mentioned, information will help make decisions. So if we can connect it, we can share information for that certain scenario, then we can make things faster and don't have to repeat the mistake that other has done, right? Yeah. And His Excellency, you want something to share?
Just want to follow up on what Mr. ACIOA mentioned. I share your perspective. I think to have ASEAN definitely has a lot to offer and a lot of potential. But to harness the power of ASEAN, how do we do that? It's still a challenge. So I think maybe because I think there's many initiatives, institutions who are think tank and have lots of networks that could bring the right people together. I think that, but it will be a lot of work for ASEAN compared to all those major powers. So I think that could be something I think I would definitely like to explore more. Thank you for raising that point.
Thank you. And so, Nick or Andy, anything to leave for the audience? Okay, all right. So probably I will hand back to Hansi. Thank you very much for all the well-respected speaker, His Excellency. So Andy, Nick, and Ashok is very insightful, and I think this is a good start for us to touch on the elements of digital leaderships and the role of coachings. Hopefully, we can have more detailed discussion in terms of certain collaboration that we can make across the ASEANs. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Okay, Hong Sin.
So I'd like to thank Dr. Patarawan Pasan Pani for moderating this session and with her distinguished plenary. His Excellency, Mr. Soputiwood, thank you very much for taking time off to be with us. Mr. Ashok Kumar, Pak Andi, and also Mr. Nick Ojeda for joining us. So the key takeaway that I'm hearing from the plenary and also the moderator, I hear words like digital fitness, digital literacy, which is also one of the subjects that 2 weeks ago we were addressing, 2 or 3 weeks ago that we were addressing that. Digital readiness, digital prosperity, digital leadership, creative thinking, or even to say design thinking. It's two different things. And one of the key touch points, lifelong learning, experiential learning. And responsibilities is on individual in terms of what kind of life they choose to live. And of course, every champion has a coach. So I hear also words like mentoring, the conversation of mentoring, coaching. All right, mentoring is a lifelong process based on mutual trust and respect. Whereas coaching, on the other hand, typically is short period of time, or typically for coaching for a certain purpose or a certain project. So mentoring generally is much more focused on creating an informal association with the mentor and the mentee. So whereas coaching generally follows a very much more structured or maybe a more formal approach in attaining a specific goal. So at the heart of ASEAN CIO Association coaching unit, our vision is really to be able to do something better and for purposeful cause for digital economy. So the ASEAN digital prosperity and sustainability is not or should not just a digital tool, as what I keep hearing from His Excellency, that it is a tool as technology can never be ignored or cannot be ignored. So as country modernize, the process of equipping executives with tools, knowledge, and opportunities, they need to develop themselves to become more effective. So coaching can begin anytime, and it is also part of talent development, fine-tuning their strengths and manage their shortcomings. So in whole essence, we are looking at like coaching is designed to help someone to become better and more agile. So today's session has been recorded and will be posted on ASEAN CIO YouTube channel, as well as the Facebook page. So do note that upcoming live chat 11 session for the second week of July, we have this hot subject where we will be addressing ASEAN digital women, the economic empowerment that makes champion for change in technology sector. Why women in digital matters in ASEAN. So without further ado, I would also be requesting our audience to be free to also suggest new topics or even speakers of interest for us to bring them online for the next new few more topics. All right. So do drop us a email, live chat, livechat @acioa.com. It is our honor to have you all to join us today with deep gratitude. Thank you again, our moderator, our plenary speakers, and of course, our president, Kun Chaichalin, for taking time to join us. Live chat.